Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. Today we're gonna dive into Japanese oolong. So today we're gonna drift off a little bit away from standard, vaporized, steam processed green tea and go a little bit more into the semi-oxidized tea. So when we talk about oolong, some of you might know, as I mentioned before just now, it is a semi-oxidized tea. Within the realm of oolong, you can have oxidized tea, which is slightly oxidized, and then you have more the greener tea. And actually, when you're going a little bit into a stronger oxidized tea, then it can drift in the direction of nearly a roasted tea. And then we are talking about the stronger oxidized tea, and then these are also called the dark oolong teas. In Japan, it is actually quite common for farmers to produce as well oolong. You see it quite often. Often we see more or stronger oxidized teas, which are coming from the farmers. And it is a little bit harder to find the greener or the more green, slightly oxidized tea. So I personally am a big fan of oolong, so I sometimes see myself also go into the Chinese oolong and taste a little bit there, but I'm a big fan of green oolongs, and this was actually my task, to really find a green oolong in Japan that I like. And I think I found one. This is the one which we got from Miyazaki Sebo, so the farmer Miyazaki Sebo. And some of you might know that in China you have sometimes the rolled oolong, and sometimes you just have a little bit more the curled leaves. And this here, and also as the labor costs are in Japan a little bit higher than in China, so you don't find too much the rolled oolong, and you really find this curled oolong. So you see it's beautifully green, not really dark. There are some hints of a little bit browner leaves, but all in all, it's a quite decent green oolong. And this is actually what I was looking for and what I want. In comparison to green tea, what is the main difference? And the main difference is actually in the first stage of the production. Normally, when you take or when you harvest the teas, then you actually put them in the steam bath so that the enzymes in the tea leaves, they don't start to oxidize the tea. But here it is on purposely done that the tea is a little bit left outside, often under the sun, just to do a little bit of oxidation. And if you leave it there to do a full oxidation, then you get black tea. But the kind of in-between is then the oolong tea. And here we have a slightly oxidized tea. So I would say here we are around 10, 15 to maximum 20%, and not at the upper realm of 70, 75, 80%. So very beautiful in terms of green oolong, exactly what I was looking for. So now I really want to dive into this. When you're brewing your Chinese, or if you buy oolong and you have your Gai 1, normally you can use this. This is absolutely no problem. In Japan, we don't have the Gai 1, and I will stick to the Japanese tea utensils. So I will just switch to a smaller teapot, which I have here. And this is around, I would say, 120 milliliters, so around 4 ounces of water, which you can fill this teapot with. And then we're gonna start. So I use around 5 grams. So this is more or less the amount you can use. I think this is even a little bit less. So Miyazaki Sebo does really small packs. So this is only a 30-gram tea bag. So I really did, with the last portion I still got, I wanted to do this video because it's just, in my opinion, I really like this tea and I wanted to share my experience with you and explain a little bit the taste. So, voila. I started with some classical music, but now I will shut this off. So, Tchaikovsky was running in the background. Some of you maybe might know it. So yeah, now we have the quiet moment of brewing tea, and now we just gonna dive into this. So after the brewing instruction of Mr. Mr. Miyazaki said, well, we leave it in for 1.5 minutes at 90 degrees Celsius, which is, I would say, around 190 Fahrenheit. So we are pretty close to boiling temperature with this tea. And this is also one particularity of Oolong. As it is oxidized, it gets kind of this floral, a little bit sweeter notes, and they are a little bit less sensitive, or kind of the astringency is less prominent in these leaves. That's why you can go up a little bit with the temperature with this tea. So that's very, very nice about the Oolong. So you can't really make the water too hot. You can really get close to brewing, to boiling temperature. Good. I'm a little bit impatient. I want it now. So, a little bit hotter. So that's the beauty about the Japanese tea utensils. You have this side handle, doesn't get hot at all. Very easy to pour. And you see this beautiful color, which I'm getting. So kind of an orangey, which is typical. As soon as you're brewing a black tea, it goes into a very dark color. Here we have a very, very nice golden color. This is far off from this typical green, which we might get from a Fukamushi tea, so a deep steamed green tea from Japan, or even a Gyokuro, which with its jade dew color, which has this slight hint of green with a little bit of golden. Here we are clearly in the orangey space, and this is coming from a typical sign that this tea has been oxidized. As soon as it starts to oxidize, the color goes more into the orange, darker orange, and then we're going into the direction of kind of reddish or dark kind of brown color, which we experience when we do, for example, a black tea, as well experienced with the hojicha, which is the roasted green tea, which is another type of green tea. So cheers, first one. So you saw, when you do the Chinese method, often the first pour you throw it away. Some people say it's to wash, some people is that the flavor has to expand. Here with the Japanese green tea, first brewing first is kind of the first brewing. They even say it's the best. So also here I take the first brewing. What is just nice is this. It's just a super different taste profile. It's not better or any kind versus green tea. It's just very, very different. And the beauty of this oxidation is that it gets a super strong floral note. I get a lot of fruits. It's kind of sweet fruit without the sweetness, but the sweet notes. So it's not strong in its kind of sweet flavor profile, but there's just this beautiful floral taste experience which I'm getting from this tea. And I personally do like this kind of sometimes you could even say a little bit soapy flavor profile, but it's not soapy. It just stops just before it, and it stays in this super beautiful floral notes. And this is actually what I personally like very, very much when I am drinking oolong tea. Let's smell the leaves. And also here with the leaves I get a lot of this beautiful kind of floral taste profile, which is just so typical for oolong tea, and it is just a super different taste experience versus a green tea. For me, it's also very good how it lingers in your mouth, how it develops further and further, making these beautiful sweet notes. There's no astringency to it. Just a very, very, very decent green oolong, and exactly what I was looking for. But I'm curious, let's see if we can get a little bit of astringency in the second brewing. I'll show you the leaves after from a close-up. Good, let's finish this one. So the second one is only 30 seconds. So we can take it directly, or more or less directly. What I like about this teapot is you can really pour this long, kind of long shots into your glass. Like it very much. It's this is normally a teapot I use a lot for gyokuro, because with gyokuro you use a little bit less space, so it's a very good teapot. I wanted to show you the leaves. And you see that the leaves are quite big and very well intact. So you can really see that I can you have the whole leaf here still, so that's very, very beautiful. This is typical for oolong. You get big, big leaves. Even the Chinese oolong I drank, they got sometimes the leaves are very, very big, especially in this rolled oolong. So this is a typicity also of oolong, that you get the whole leaves. And you see it's a little bit of a mix of green, a little bit reddish leaves as well. So some of them, so the finer leaves, they already oxidize a little bit more in the browner realm, which kind of influence then the color more to get into these darker orangey tones. Just Now I'm getting a little bit more of this dryness, a little bit citrusy undertones. So it changes. First is definitely super florally, super sweet, perfect brewing in my opinion. Now in the second brewing, I'm getting a little bit more of this slight astringent tones, a little bit of citrusy, so the tea gets a little bit fresher, which is nice, because before it was kind of super fine, delicate, florally, very, very soft notes, and now I'm getting into the realm of a little bit more freshness. You get a little bit more the citrusy taste profiles, but still a lot of dominance of this floral note. So it stays a sweet tea, it stays a florally tea. Very, very beautiful. And the beauty of the oolong leaves is that you can brew a lot of them. So you can rebrew this 4 to at least 5 to maybe 6 times. Some Chinese oolong, they can even go up to 10, 12. So here, the good thing about the oolong tea is that you can really rebrew it, and it doesn't lose too much of its taste profile. So let me check this. The water is hotter. I'm struggling a little bit more to finish it quickly for the video. But still very florally, so slight. It's very, very soft, this more fresher note. And the stringency is not there. It's a little bit drier on top of the tongue, but also very, very soft, the very soft dryness. So we see the color doesn't really change. Very similar still. Now it gets a little bit softer in terms of taste. So I can see already now that it diminishes a little bit, but still super nice, super florally. So definitely I can do a 4th, a 5th, even a 6th. I would definitely go for. So oolong tea, very different to what we know from Japanese green tea, but the skill with the Japanese tea farm is there, and they do beautiful teas. This one in person I like a lot. It's the first green oolong that I found, which I really, really like. So I'm a big fan of it. So this tea definitely worth a try. Or if you never had oolong, the problem a little bit about the Japanese oolong that in price-wise it's a little bit more expensive, so it's not that attractive if you compare it to Chinese oolong. If you want to start into oolong, maybe first go into the field of the Chinese oolong, but if you're kind of a big fan of Japanese tea and you want to explore also the oolong which they are producing, then go absolutely try it. And always a pleasure if you let us know how you liked it. So this was this. You can buy it on our webshop neoteas.com, and this was this 15 minutes. Thanks a lot for watching. See you and bye bye.